I personally feel like when I do too much in a weekend, it's almost like I didn't have a weekend. And I did too much this weekend. And so now I'm tired. Sometimes I just want to like sleep all weekend. But then I know if I don't do anything all weekend, I also feel not as productive. So I'm trying to be more productive during my week, getting stuff done. I went grocery shopping earlier. I'm about to go to Walmart and just go ahead and get the rest of my stuff because I did not go to my Zumba class. We have not been doing good going to the gym. I will try to go Thursday. I personally am going to try to go on Thursday and then make sure I get at least 3 to 4 workouts each week. I'm also still kind of doing intermittent fasting, but it's pretty like sporadic, so it's really not, I wouldn't really consider it. It's just like some days I just go a long time without eating, which is kind of my norm. And what else? I just feel like I feel very overwhelmed with my life right now. I'm still questioning a lot of things. And I just still feel like I'm not on the right path at the moment. Not necessarily that I'm doing anything wrong. I just don't feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. I just, let's get into why I feel this way. I just watched one of my friends from high school who basically went to, basically it's just seeing other people, and I know you can't compare yourself to other people, but just seeing other people have like so much success in their life, or just seemingly have like a better plan. And I feel like, and then there's me, we've been struggling, going through it like since I graduated from college. Nothing has been like smooth sailing for me. I have so many friends like who bought houses, are married, having kids, and my timeline is just not, it just is not the timeline that I'm currently on. So basically, this is going to turn into a chit chat. I know you can't compare yourself to other people. Everyone has a different journey in life. My journey has had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of instability, and I think a part of the reason I'm struggling a lot with a lot of the jobs that I've had is because I am a very ambitious person, and my goal is ultimately to be in business for myself and not have to be an employee. But like, I have the plan, I have the, actually I shouldn't say this, I don't have the plan. I have the vision, I don't have the path. And I've mentioned this before, like I feel like sometimes it seems like, and this is something I got from a sermon, basically where they said God will either show you where, like, the final destination, or he'll show you the steps, and you have to trust him with, you know, whichever one you don't have. So sometimes God will show you the path, but you don't see the end goal. You have to trust like where that path is going to leave you. For me, I have the end goal. Like, God showed me a vision of where I am going to end up, and I will end up successful because I trust and believe that the vision God gave me and showed me about my life will eventually come. This is why I'm laughing. Will eventually happen, but I feel like I've been struggling with the path because it seems like it keeps seeming like or feeling like I'm not on the right path. I've had so many failures. So many things have just not worked out the way I thought it would. I keep struggling with the jobs I'm getting. I don't feel like I found my footing. And I think a lot of it is just, like I said, I feel like I don't know the path I have to go to get to the vision God gave me. So I'm trying to trust God on the path that I've currently started, because obviously, like, everything in my life happens for a reason. I've been through a lot of ups, a lot of downs. I've made many mistakes, many failures. I have had many struggles that I've had to overcome. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, it's just been perfect, smooth sailing and I've had all of these amazing things. But I can still look back, even through all of the lows I've had. There's been a lot of highs. There's been a lot of great moments, a lot of fun moments. I've still been able to go on some trips. I try to go on at least one trip. Do I travel as much as I would like to? No. But you know, I have to sacrifice some of the things I want because, you know, for me personally, I've spent so much money on things. Like my shopping addiction honestly has been something that I do think has held me back from certain things because was constantly shopping, and that was like my way of fulfilling, I guess, whatever void or just where I found, I guess, how I chose to solve the unhappiness I felt with a lot of other areas of my life was just, let me go buy this. I get a temporary joy, temporary happiness, and then it's just like it's never actually fulfills you, so you have to constantly shop. And now I'm in a place, like, I will be honest with you guys, I have really not been shopping. I haven't really cared to shop. I haven't felt like going out shopping. I'm at a place where I'm pretty much, you know, I won't say I'm content, but I'm also like, I'm actually over. I have too much stuff at this point. So we are honestly getting to a place where I'm like, I'm ready to start getting rid of a lot of the things that I have, because I feel like I'm just carrying around way more than I need, honestly. I need to let go of a lot of the stuff that I've accumulated over the past couple of years. And this is something I've always known, like, I'm gonna have to eventually get rid of a lot of things. I have way too much stuff. Now, currently, I'm not saying I'm gonna do this immediately. It might be a process. It might take me, you know, a couple of years before I truly, and I've talked about this before, how I had like a mental breakdown. I feel like I've been having like a midlife crisis every year since I was like 22. I'm 28. This is the other thing. I feel like I do not come off my age because of, I don't even know. I do think I look a lot younger, but I also feel like people younger than me are just like, there's people younger than me. I don't want to say they're ahead of me, but their timeline, like, they're already married, they already have kids, they're already like really far into careers. And I'm like someone who's, I feel like, is more of a late bloomer, still hasn't found their footing, has had to start over pretty much every year since I've had to start over at least once every year since I was 22. Just literally going through it constantly. And there's story times behind a lot of things, and I also will acknowledge the mistakes that I made, poor choices I made that put me in bad situations. So now I'm at a point where I'm kind of trying to work on myself and solve all of these problems I've created so that I can get to a better place. I think I'm also more mature than I think people sometimes think, because I think a lot of people see like my, I don't know. I don't even know. I think it's just like, I learn from my mistakes, but I also understand things in the bigger picture. Because believe it or not, I'm always thinking about, you know, long term, is this what's going to work for me? And at work today, I'm talking to some people and they're talking about, oh, I worked at this job and did this for 21 years. And I'm just thinking to myself, is the job I'm currently at a job I can see myself at for 21 years? No. Just about every job I've had, and I feel like I crave change. I crave, you know, a new experience. It's really hard for me to, I can't picture myself And I think part of the reason I can't picture myself working somewhere for this long period of time is because I know I'm just not meant to be an employee. I'm just not. It's not something I can see myself. I cannot see myself working a job for, honestly, more than like 3 years. Because it's just so. And even on my resume, the only jobs that I've held for over 3 years is jobs that I was self-employed, basically. So like I put my makeup business on my resume because I've been doing that for the longest. But again, it's a business that I run myself. And so it's like, because I have control over when I don't do it, it's still something like I've consistently done, but it's a role that I had control over versus like working for someone else. I really just have never been able to picture myself working somewhere for like years on years. And I'm listening to this person, I'm like, how have you been able to stay at a company for that long? Like, I just can't imagine. I get tired. I get so tired of jobs. It's like once I learn how to do something and it's not challenging me anymore, I just get bored. Or if I'm doing the same thing every day, it's not interest. I lose interest and I'm bored. Like I haven't found really a career as far as the jobs that I've had. In any of the jobs that I've had, I've never felt like I found this is my career, this is where I'm supposed to be. It's always been more like okay, I'll try to stay here for at least 1 to 2 years, 1 to 2 years until I find some like the next thing. And so if you're always looking for the next thing, that means where you're currently at is not where you're meant to be. And I think it's interesting. I talk to a lot of my friends, like, and I have a lot of friends who are like have done very successful or have been doing pretty well in their last careers, but I feel like so many of my friends are at a point where like they're tired and they've stayed at their jobs way longer, but they're like just looking for something new. I personally just get easily bored at jobs. I don't like monotonous work. If every day I come in, I'm doing the exact same thing, I get too bored. And I also think it's because like once I learn how to do something and I know I can do it, it's just like, okay, if it's not something I love to do, I don't want to do that every day, you know? So I feel like for me, I want to find, well, first of all, I want to be working in something that is my actual God-given purpose. I want to be doing something that is going to impact other people in a positive way, but also do something I'm passionate about, do something that I enjoy. And I know saying that comes off as like, well, you know, passion doesn't pay your bills. You know, sometimes you just have to suck it up and do something you don't like. And I'm telling you guys, I've been sucking it up and doing things I don't like for the past almost 10 years. So it's just like, what? And I also think, here's the thing, there's people who actually enjoy the work that they do. And that's why they're able to stay. And maybe it's like a personality thing. And I think I have some of the reason I crave change is because of how I grew up. I come from a military background. We moved around a lot. I went to so many different schools and I got accustomed to constant change. In college, I moved every single year. I never stayed at the same place for 1 year, and it didn't bother me that I didn't stay at the same place. So moving around a lot got me accustomed to change to the point that now I crave it like consistently. And just about every job I've had or done around a year mark is when I'm like, I can't do this no more. It's like after a year, I'm tired. I need something new. So one of the jobs I feel like I would be better at was a flight attendant for that reason. Because with being a flight attendant, but I honestly still don't even know about that. Flight attendants, you're doing the same thing, you're just in a different place frequently. And I feel like being in a different place at random throughout the day would keep me like from feeling tired, because I like that there's a little bit of chaos, throwing a little bit of chaos in the mix. Like, I kind of thrive. I don't want to say I thrive in chaos, but I like not having set things at times. I mean, certain things I feel like I would like to be stable. One, I need consistent money. Money, honey, should always be consistent. I don't enjoy having inconsistent pay, because that's struggle. It's hard to budget around that, but I also want something where I'm not doing the same thing every single day. So I don't know what that's gonna look like for me. I think personally the only real way I will have that is being in business for myself, where I'm able to control, you know, kind of how much or how little or what things I do. And I do thrive a lot more when I do have control over my job and over my schedule versus having to be an employee. The only thing is, when you're self-employed, you don't have control over your pay, and it's not as consistent. So I feel like it's kind of like the good thing is, like, I have the control that I need, where I'm like, okay, I'll work from this time to this time and then do that, but you can't always guarantee consistent pay. So I need to find like a good middle ground where I can have, you know, a consistent, stable income, but have like a varying schedule that I can create and I can control, which again, ultimately I feel like that is what I'll end up doing. It's just the path to get there is I'm still figuring out exactly what that would look like and what it is that's going to get me there. And I feel like that's just where like my faith comes in, and where I have to just trust God's plan and God's timing. And that's not always easy, if I'm being honest, because when you're trusting God's timing and God's plan, you don't have control over any of it. It's just like, I want to have these things and I want to be able to experience certain things, but I'm just like, I don't control when it's gonna happen. When you're trusting God, you have to trust his timing, you have to trust his plan, and you have to trust, you know, how it's going to happen too. Because I will say, like, in my life currently, I feel like I'm so far behind, especially when I see other people like having success in their careers and, you know, getting these raises and getting these jobs. And I know it's like my journey is going to be different, but it's also, I still wish, like, well, I wish I was further along on my journey. And the truth is, I feel like when you're trusting God's timing, it's not always going to happen the way you want it to or the way you think it will. It's always just going to be, you know, out of your control, most of the things. So I feel like I'm just at a place now where I'm content as far as, okay, well, I have a job that's a little bit more secure, but I still don't feel like this, I'm at a place where I'm like, this is the long-term plan, or this is somewhere I'm gonna stay for a long time, because I've never felt that about any job. And I also think that's one of the things, like, a lot of employers want an employee who's going to be consistent and stable. People who stay at jobs for a long period of time are going to be more trustworthy. And then there's me. Again, I don't know if it's just like a personality thing or it's just like, I think it's a bit of both. If you're doing something that you genuinely love and genuinely enjoy, then when you're working, it doesn't feel like work. When you're working in your purpose and when you are on the path and plan that God's called you to do and you're working in where God's called you to be, it shouldn't feel like, well, I shouldn't say it doesn't feel like work, but you should feel, I don't want to say you should feel a certain way, but I just feel like you'll feel more fulfilled because you know you're doing what God has called you to do. And for me personally, I haven't felt that in any of the jobs I've had, in any of the careers I've had. Like, I know people watch my videos and be like, you should do this, you should do that. And I'd be like, I've been there, done that, tried that, didn't like it. You know, with hair and makeup, you know, I thought I wanted to be a makeup artist. The truth is, I like makeup. I like collecting makeup. Sometimes I like wearing it. I don't mind doing other people's makeup, but I'm not passionate about it. Like, when I see other makeup influencers like Michaela, I don't know how to say her last name, but she makes all those makeup reviews. Like, she loves makeup. And I'm just like, I like it. I don't mind it. I like doing my makeup sometimes. And I even liked doing other people's makeup, but it's not something I'm super passionate about. Same with hair. So it's just like, there's a lot of things I could be good at. There's a lot of things that I can do. And personally, I feel like I can do anything I set my mind to. I'm smart. I'm not dumb. I can learn things. I can learn how to do a lot of things. For instance, if I wanted to get a really high paying job, by just going back to school, getting a degree, I could do that. Like, there's nothing really stopping me from doing those things other than I don't feel like that is what I'm called to or meant to do. Like, there's so many things I could do. I could have then gone back to school and got my master's or doctorates by now. If it was something I really wanted to do and I really felt like I needed to do, I could easily do that. I'm not dumb. I know how to study. I know how to get good grades. I say that, but honestly, in college, I was a slacker. I was low-key a slacker in college. I am not gonna lie to y'all. Like, but anyways, I got my degree. And that's what matters. My degree honestly has been pretty useless to me for the past 6 years. So I really don't put a lot of eggs into like the education route as being what's gonna make me successful in life. But you know, like, if I really wanted to do something, I could do it. So it's not like there's any one particular thing stopping me, other than I don't want to put time and energy, keep putting time and energy into things that I'm not called to do, I'm not meant to do. Like, of course I could go back to school and get a degree in a field that's higher paying, but I don't do things just for money. I don't want to do things just for money. I want to do things that I enjoy and I feel called to. And I've gone back and forth on this because I know there's videos where I said, like, maybe I just need to suck it up and focus on the money. But in my heart of hearts, I feel like I could not have a job that is soul crushing and I'm just making a lot of money and that makes it okay. Like, I have to enjoy what I do. I want to feel passionate. I want to feel like I am making an impact, that I'm helping people, that I'm doing something that is actually beneficial to other people. And people might look at what I do now and say, well, you are doing something. Like, I work with kids with autism. Of course, like, that's a job that, you know, yes, people would look at and say like, you're doing something to help people. And I don't disagree. I just think it's not where I'm called to be. Like working with kids with autism, yes, you have to have a lot of patience. Yes, you have to be willing to deal with a lot of, it can be stressful too some days, not gonna lie. If you're an RBT, you know what it's like working with these kids. Like, I love working with the kids that I work with. I don't think, though, that it's what I'm called to do for a long period of time. But I'm saying, like, it's not just about, like, what people on the outside might think about what I'm doing. It's about, like, do I feel this is where I'm called to be? Is this where God has called me to be? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And I have not felt like any of the jobs I've had are places or jobs or careers that God has called me to. So I feel like I've been really just roaming through life, really, without really a solid plan in place, because I don't know the plan. I don't know the plan. God only showed me the vision, and the vision was amazing. And I feel like that's something, when I'm going through really, 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 really hard times, that vision, and I'm getting emotional because that vision has been the only thing that's kept me going through so many of the lows that I've experienced in my life. Because there's so many times where I want to give up, but then I remember, okay, God showed you that you would eventually do this, so you can't give up, you know? So I'm just like, I know God showed me that vision for a reason, because that's what's kept me going through a lot of the hardships, a lot of the challenging moments, when I want to give up, when I feel like, you know, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing enough, like, I'm not where I want to be. I hold on to that. That's what keeps me going, because I still trust and believe that eventually I will get there. And I hope that motivates other people. If there's something that you feel God has called you to do, or if there's a vision that God has placed on your heart, has shown you about your life, like, don't give up, because just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it's not going to. And that was kind of the sermon. I went to my dad's church on Sunday, and that was essentially the sermon the pastor had. He did a whole thing talking, like, just going over, like, yet and what yet means. Like, just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen at all. And so I'm on the yet. I'm waiting on, I'm still in the yet. Like, I know what God showed me and told me I was going to do. It just hasn't happened yet, but it will eventually. So that's what I just have to trust and believe and hope for and pray for, and just continue to, like I said, do what I can. And that's really all you can do. I feel like I've been begging and praying for, like, you know, what is my next step? What do I need to be doing? What can I do better? What am I doing wrong? Like, I know I'm not perfect, and I know that there's still a lot of things I need to work on in my personal life. However, it doesn't mean, like, I'll never do like a great thing, or I'll never have success in my future. And, you know, I hope that that inspires other people. Like, just because you've made mistakes in your past, or just because you're struggling. I'm almost 30, and I feel like the pressure gets worse the older you get, because I think so many people also have convinced themselves that they need to be successful while they're young. But the truth is, a lot of the most successful people don't get it until later in life. So just because you haven't gotten all of the success you thought you'd have in your 20s, or even in your 30s, it doesn't matter what age you are. Like, you know, if you look back in the Bible, on Sarah and how she laughed when God told her she was gonna have a child in her freaking 90s. And it's just like, sometimes we think that, you know, because we're no longer young and we're no longer youthful, that, you know, the things that you once dreamed of, it can't happen anymore, or it's like, it's too far, it's over with, or it can't happen. But God literally promised her that she would have a son, and guess what? She did, in her 90s. So it's just like, you can't, just because something doesn't happen during the time you think it should or you want it to, like I said, God's timing. Now, I feel like if I was Sarah, I probably would have felt the same way, being like, oh, you think I'm about to have a baby and I'm like in old age? And I know, like, in the Bible, some people in the beginning of the Bible, people was living up to like 300. But if I was 90, I would still be like, this is a little, still pushing it, you know? So anyways, just hope that this video encourages anyone watching in a similar situation, or maybe just going through the ups and downs of life, not to give up. God has a plan and purpose for you and for me. And even though it's hard sometimes, not knowing or not seeing, not feeling like you are getting anywhere, you just have to keep trusting God. So that is my spiel for the day, my thoughts for the day. Like I said, talking with my coworkers always makes me realize, like, I don't want to say that there's something wrong with me, just that, like, that could not be me. Like, I can't imagine doing the same thing for 15 years or being at a job for 15 years. Like, I know that's so common, but I've never felt like, I've never been able to picture that for myself, y'all. But I don't want to be someone who's constantly hopping jobs either. But I kind of have to, because I'm like, I need that change. I get bored, I get tired. I will say this, I've been doing the same thing for like 7 months now, or 6 months, technically 6 months, and I don't hate it. Some days are hard. Some of my days are hard, y'all. Today was actually kind of, my clients kind of tried me today, but it's all right. We got through the day, and that's all that matters. And I feel like, honestly, the more I deal with stuff, the less it bothers me. Once you've been doing something for long enough, it's just like you don't sweat the little things. Like, when I first started as an RBT, if my client had really bad behaviors one day, I would be like, I can't believe this. And now I'm just like, it's just one of those days. it's just one of those days. I will say this, kids will keep you on your toes. You'll never be bored when it comes to these children, working with children. But at the same time, you know, it's still not a career I see myself at for like 15 plus years. Anyways, that's all I have to say, guys. This was a really random chit chat, kind of. I always start my videos honestly, and this is why I feel like people don't believe me when I say everything I talk about is literally just spewing out my head at that moment. I really don't I don't practice anything before I speak. It's literally just it just comes in and out. I don't want it to come off though like I don't think about what I say. It's just like, I don't plan what I'm going to talk about in my videos. I literally just turn on, film, and then start talking, and whatever you guys get is what y'all get. But I do not plan anything that I speak. So I do think, though, God uses me, and sometimes I do feel like when I'm saying certain things, I'm like, ooh, I learned something from that. Like, I needed to hear that for myself even. So yeah, that's all, guys. Bye.